Okay, welcome everyone to our PMI Montgomery County Chapter's April monthly virtual meeting. We have been getting some inquiries about when we'll get back to a simulcast, face-to-face and virtual meeting, and we'll cover that in our remarks. Some exciting new news. We'll be partnering with the National Cancer Institute, NCI, for a project management symposium this summer. The dates haven't been quite nailed down yet, but this will be a 100% virtual WebEx and probably 2 half days with 8 PDUs to be earned. Our scholarship window has closed. Winners will be announced no later than next week. And as similar with past years, 1 open scholarship to any graduating senior in the county, and then 1 member scholarship to a family member of a graduating senior. Not restricted to the county, but it has to be a valid member. So we look forward to reaching out to the guidance counselors for the open scholarship and the members for the member scholarship. And in this strange year for our graduating seniors, $1,000 scholarship can help out. So we look forward to giving that out. As we do slowly get back to face-to-face meetings, you'll be seeing more of our chapter board officers. Several are on the call tonight, and we look forward to seeing as many of you back face-to-face when you feel safe. Governor Hogan and the County Executive Eldrick have done a good job with making the vaccination available to many. So as members get vaccinated and feel comfortable with the vaccination, we look forward to slowly getting back to normal chapter operations and symposiums and education days face-to-face. We may keep some virtual offerings, and that'll actually be covered in our subject today, as well as how are these virtual means of communicating going to go away once the world gets back to normal, or are they here to stay? So we look forward to our speakers' perspective on that. As with the prior months, PMI Global is offering seminars world later this month from the 19th to the 20th. Lisa and David from Leadership Techniques, as well as Mr. Carl Pritchard, are speakers. They're offering seminars world virtually every month, probably for the rest of the year. So that's a great opportunity to get a lot of PDUs towards your recertification, as well as a good use of any training education funds your company may give you a yearly allowance for. Earlier this week, the release date for the 7th edition of the Project Management Body of Knowledge came out. So this will be Sunday, August 1st. For all valid PMI members, you'll be able to download PMBOK 7, and then that's the sale date on Amazon and the PMI Marketplace. Before then, we'll have one of our education partners come in and talk about the changes to the PMBOK. The PMP test is already changed earlier this year. So we've talked to a few chapter members who have passed the test in 2021, and we'll also have their input on how the test has changed. But as we know, PMI Global, with new leaderships, pivoting more from processes and frameworks of, if you want a successful project, you need to do things this way, to more of a broadened, there are many ways to have a successful project, and these are the tools you can have in your toolkit. So you'll see that the Agile Practice Guide was the add-on with the 6th edition. For the 7th edition, it's the standard for project management, and that kind of speaks to more of not as technique and process heavy. But we look forward to sharing that information and having a few speakers who actually contributed to some sections of the 7th edition speak to us later on this year. PMI Global has also pivoted to becoming more competitive in the Agile and Scrum education space. They've come out with a Discipline Agile set of certifications from a Scrum Master and a Senior Scrum Master to a Coach and a Value Stream Consultant. Similar to the Scrum Alliance tests for all the certified Scrum Masters and product owners that we may have on the call. A 2-day training course is required. That is offered virtually now because of the pandemic impact, but you still need to attend that 2-day course before you can take the test. There won't be self-study opportunities to take the test. And then the tests are non-proctored, similar to Scrum Alliances, where they don't necessarily recommend you use an open book, but there's no enforcement that you can't. And we'll be getting a presentation on Discipline Agile from Leadership Techniques next month. So we look forward to learning more about why PMI got in the Agile game other than the certified Agile practitioner certification they already had, the ACP, and what value the Discipline Agile curriculum can give us that Scrum Alliance maybe has not yet. So we look forward to that. Speaking of Lisa and David, our education partners are still doing great things. Many are slowly pivoting to some socially distant face-to-face classes, but still offering virtual education. On our event calendar on the website, you can pull those, and we often include them, new opportunities and programs in our newsletter. So stay tuned for that. Okay, for our May monthly meeting, so Wednesday, May 5th, which is also Cinco de Mayo, we may work with the Normandy Farm Kitchen to offer something that's a little bit more Mexican themed, but we will be back to a face-to-face meeting. Last year, for September, October, and November, we returned to socially distant indoor dining. Many of you on the call were in attendance. We'll still follow the same safety protocols of temperature checks at registration and socially distant tables, no more than 3 members at each table. All the servers will be wearing masks. We ask that masks be worn when you're not actively eating or drinking at your table, and the speaker's podium will be at least 10 or 12 feet distant from the closest table. We will still be offering Zoom simulcast, so for next month, there'll be, you'll still see the shared presentation, but you'll also see the speaker on stage versus sitting in the comfort of their own home or office. So we're looking forward to that, and here's hoping that county and state guidance don't have us revert back to virtual only. We will still be offering the simulcast for the rest of the calendar year, and Zoom offerings may stick into the next calendar year as well. So we're learning as we go. So more information to come on the registration for the dinner. The May dinner will be free to all members as we're looking forward to welcoming people back. So that will be a comp dinner for the May offering. Okay, so some of the feedback we got once we released this event was this information would have been good a year ago, but from my perspective, I think that we're getting a little too comfortable with virtual meetings. Just earlier today, I was on a Zoom call where a young lady took the call on video in her restroom, and I think we're so comfortable that the technology is what it is that we're getting a little lackadaisical and forgetting customs, and it's become such a part of our lives that we're no longer applying the same discipline and rigor that we did at one point. If you look at where we've come with virtual offerings, last January in 2020, Zoom stock price was $66.72, and today it's $323.08. So if we had a DeLorean to go back in time, we may be able to quit our day jobs if we would have bought enough stock. Microsoft, with Microsoft Teams, their revenue rose 13% in the last 11 months because more people are using Teams. I'm a federal government employee, and we're using Teams more than we are Cisco WebEx or Zoom right now, just because of the added security features. And that's been a big boom with the business from the federal government. So we're looking forward to our speaker, Mrs. Karene Putney, who's the founder and CEO of Etiquette, one of DC's professional protocol and business consulting leading firms in the area. Mrs. Putney is a certified professional development coach. She's a graduate of the Speaker Academy. Within the past 2 years, our programs team of Ruby and Scott have done a great job of bringing in speakers from the National Speakers Association. Karen Snyder comes to mind. So she's a graduate of the DC Chapter's Academy, and she's coined the great phrase that good manners will open doors that the best education cannot. So we welcome Mrs. Putney and look forward to a great presentation.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for having me here today. And thank you, PMI, for the invite. I really appreciate it. I want to make sure, can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
Wonderful.
First are good.
Okay, great, wonderful. So this is my official first presentation, so please, I apologize if there is any mistake or glitches or anything like that, but again, let me share my screen and let's get started. Okay, so welcome everyone to Etiquette. My name is Karene Putney, and today's topic will be how to put your best foot forward in a virtual meeting setting. And the agenda for today, let me downsize this. Be mindful of time. Make sure everyone is aware of who will be on the call. Limit interruption from external noises. Ready your equipment. Ensure that you have a clean, work-appropriate background. No eating. Don't be late. Practice good video meeting etiquette. Establish your agenda. Don't multitask. Monitor your mute button. Sit still. General guidelines. Wrap it up and follow up. So, mindful of time. Attendees can be anywhere, and time zone difference can be a real challenge. We recommend that you be very careful when a person is halfway around the world. We have to keep in mind that there's international time zone, there's Eastern, Western, like I'm in Maryland. So for example, if you're meeting with a colleague in Switzerland, there's a 6-hour time difference. So sometimes their Monday could be our their Monday could be our Tuesday or our Wednesday. It's just really different. So you want to make sure you establish a good understanding of the time zone and just communicate clearly, because many of meeting has been missed because that wasn't established up front. We want to make sure that everyone is aware of who will be on the call. Don't have someone listening whom you have not introduced to everyone. Be sure to introduce everyone at the beginning, just like a real meeting environment or social event. Like you would not initiate a conversation between two acquaintances whom you haven't met without speaking to each other. So the same practice apply for a virtual meeting. It just makes sure that all parties are welcome, they feel appreciated, and it's a stimulating environment. Also, it's recommended that you don't invite coworkers or someone who really don't need to be a part of the meeting. These decisions can be detrimental to the quality of the meeting because you can send other stakeholders a summary of the meeting via Zoom chat. As an invitee, make sure to review any meeting invites you receive to determine whether you actually need to attend. If not, request a recording of the meeting or a summary to get the information you need.
So I had a question in terms of
Yes.
the introduction. So for reoccurring meetings, you may have new members, but if 90% week to week or month to month are the same people, what's good protocol for doing the introductions? Should the facilitator be mindful of who the out of the norm members are, or is that putting them on the spot too much? Or what are your thoughts for reoccurring meetings and going around the horn with who's who in the zoo?
Well, it's just kind of like any opening introduction. You just want to welcome everyone and just let everyone know that you appreciate of their time and for being here. And if it's a lot of members or people, we probably don't have enough time to go through everyone introducing, but at least the main important people, but just to acknowledge everyone on the call to let them know that they feel important.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And again, if there are more information to be given, I will definitely follow up with you to make sure I'm answering all your questions for you. And also limit interruption from internal noises. It is recommended that you close your conference room or your office door. It is a courtesy to other people online. You want to be aware of external noises. Sometimes if you're at home, the garbage truck could be picking up that day and it could be very loud. Or if you're at the office, there could be construction. Some neighborhood, they do start early. And if you have a cracked window, again, these little noises or children at home or adults who are constantly moving around, you wanna make sure everyone is aware that you're going to be on a Zoom call or a meeting, and it's really important. So just please be mindful. And again, if you're in a situation where it is going to be really noisy, just let all the participants know that you apologize, that there will be some external noises, but I'll do my best to make sure that it's not going to interrupt the meeting. But for better say, in the Zoom Help Center, you do have an option for background noises suppression, and this will allow you to utilize the noise, which can help remove distracting noise. For example, participant microphone that could pick up. Also background noise like paper crunching, keyboard typing, fan noises, or the dog barking. These are all noise that could be filtered through the Zoom Help Center for the background noise suppression.
Has anyone on the call used the noise suppression in any of your meetings? Or knew it existed?
No, Matt, that's the first I'm hearing of it, but I'm wondering if Teams has a similar program or tool. Would anyone know?
No, this is the first time I'm hearing about the noise suppression. So this is a good thing, though.
Yeah, very good.
Mrs. Putney, is
yes.
From your Zoom facilitator account, is that an activation that you need to turn on, or is that available via default?
Yes, well, if you go into your Zoom account and just go through all the different options Zoom have, you could find it, but Zoom also have online webinars where they help you go through the startup process and answer many questions. So anyone who have a Zoom account could just contact a Zoom representative and they will share a lot of information with everyone.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're very welcome. Ready your equipment. So you want to check your equipment ahead of time. You just want to make sure that the lighting is correct, cable wires are plugged in, your laptop is fully charged, or make sure that you won't have a problem where there's going to be powered off. And I do recommend that people visit Amazon for accessories. There's so many options for gadgets, lights, stands, to just make it a bit easier. For example, if your laptop camera is broken, there's an external camera that you could purchase and it just pops right into your laptop and you're connected. And now you don't have to worry about not having a camera. So just visit Amazon for many accessories. And you want to ensure that you have a clean, work appropriate background. You want your attendees to focus on the meeting content and not your messy office or amazing art collection. Zoom virtual background feature has an amazing way to eliminate background distractions when you have to meet in a messy or busy location. For example, I'm using a virtual background, so that is one option. Or again, if you have a clean background, that is also fine. But again, it's just to limit any distraction, because people do find themselves looking and wandering around. Oh, what is that? That's a beautiful art. And it just takes the focus away from the message, from the meeting. And no eating, I know, especially if you're on a Zoom meeting for hours and hours, it's very tempting to eat, but don't eat on a video call, and especially don't eat chips. As Zoom becomes a way of life, more and more attendees are using high fidelity headsets that amplify the sound of chewing. If you're going to eat, do yourself and everyone a favor by muting yourself, but better yet, excuse yourself and come back when you're finished. And I just thought I'd share this funny clip with you because it kind of just give you an idea of what I'm referring to. Let me get this play for you all.
Is there a sound, Karen, Ms. Putney? Because I can't hear anything.
Oh, you're not able to hear that?
I can. I don't know if anybody else can.
Can anyone hear that?
No,
No,
I can't hear either.
you cannot. Oh my gosh, I apologize.
Just try to replay it one more
Let's
time.
see. Can anyone hear now?
No, but you can
Yeah.
change.
Raise the volume there if you can.
No, you got to go into your settings and share your audio,
Okay, let me see if I could do that one
Mhm.
second here.
and that should share your audio and videos.
Okay, one moment.
Mhm.
So that will
Yes.
be
In Zoom.
one moment. See, we're all learning together. One moment. I guess because I'm sharing the screen that it's
Yeah.
but what I can do, I could send this presentation over to Matt, and he could email it to everyone, so at least, or I could send you the clip of the video. I apologize, but again, it's just basically
Karen,
yes, sir.
in the Zoom, actually, in order to play video, when you say, let me share your screen, when you share your screen, at the bottom, there are two check boxes. You need to check those boxes if you want movies to be played for sound to come through.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me see if I can go back to my screen here, because for some reason, okay, here we go. So mute my. If you don't mind, my husband is home and I can get him to jump on. Maybe he might also. No, okay, let me, so choose video filter. So not there. I'm sorry, can you repeat where would I go again for the?
No, when you hit the button, share screen, something comes up and says, what do you want to do? Share what screen? Like if you have two screens, the last, what screen you want to share. At the bottom of it, there are
Check,
two check boxes.
share
Or
computer
your
sound.
other suggestion was fine. You can email the presentation and we can go.
Yeah, I will
Yeah,
do that
that-
because the way my camera is and the screen share button is just, again, it's not letting me go through. So I apologize. This is my
That's
first time.
fine.
I
That's
am
fine.
learning also. So let me.
You can just email it to us.
Yes, I will. I
Okay.
will do that. Okay, so let me jump back onto the presentation here. Okay. So again, but yeah, so I'll email that. But again, it just shows how embarrassing it can be. Okay, and don't be late. Video meeting make it obvious when colleague shows up late, wasting the time of those who logged in promptly. It also depended on the video conference you're using. Some source like Webex, it allows you to close the door 5 minutes after the meeting starts, or Zoom waiting room allows a host to decide how long loggers patiently wait before being granted entry. And a rule of thumb is there's no need to recap for late arrival. Just like in any real meeting setting, you have a time frame and you expect everyone to be on time. And sometimes you're things that comes up and, people might be late due to accidents or delay. It's best if, someone email or make a phone call just to let you know. But if someone is just like constantly being 15, 20 minutes late, again, there are just some guidelines that you don't have to recap that information, or you could just close them out because it's taken away from the productivity of the meeting. Practice good video etiquette. You want to dress for your audience. We all have seen the funny clip of the guy sporting a bottom up in boxers because the webcam only captures from the top up and not the bottom. Now, I did have another video here, but it's going to be the same situation where you probably won't hear the audio. So again, I apologize, and I will share this information. So we can't force everyone to wear pants or bottom garments, but it's not a bad idea to take the extra precaution. There are some options to blur the screen, but it's not guaranteed that that will work. And I know, especially when you're at home, it's just like roll out of bed or, one of those days, let me just throw something on. If you know that you have a meeting coming up, and even if it's just something small and simple, remember, you are your brand. So every time you go online and you represent yourself, you want to always put your best foot forward because you just never know. And just like in a real situation, you don't want to be known for someone who just shows up sloppy or take advantage of the situation. And sometimes, believe it or not, you step into a room and you are aware of everything. And then a few minutes later, you're unconscious of many things. And so if you're, again, wearing not the appropriate bottom, you might just forget. And you know what, let me get a drink or something. And you get up and oops, you totally forgot that you weren't dressed properly. So just if you know the night before the meeting you're going to have in your audience, just pull out a nice sweater or a blazer and just have it ready. So that way you just take it serious and you move forward.
One pattern I've seen, at least on the Department of Defense side, is the facilitator will turn their video on, but not necessarily all the attendees. And that's kind of become the norm, and it's fine. I mean, I think that the facilitator should have video on the whole time, and then as people chime in with updates, if you're briefing somebody in a senior position, you should turn your video on just for that update. But sometimes the video on for everyone can be distracting. What's your recommendation for how to handle, should you require video be on for everybody, or in your experience, what's successful there?
Well, I think it's best to have the video on because it shows that you're engaged, because when the video is off, you really could be doing many other things in the background, which I will also get into that, why you should, because it shows you're present. Just like if you go to a classroom setting or meeting, the teacher wants to see everyone's face, not just their books or their name tags, and they're not there. So it is one of those things that I would personally say, yes, everyone should have their camera on because it shows that you're present, you're engaged, and you want to be seen.
I have a quick question. This is Raj.
Sure.
So if there are 3 to 5 people and all 4 people are not showing their face, if you show your face, isn't it intimidating, or how does that work?
No, because we're human beings. As human beings, we're social creatures. So seeing my face, it just makes it more real. Like you're not speaking to a robot, you're connecting with another human being. And so because of this whole social distance and Zoom, which now there's a study out about Zoom fatigue, just constantly being on camera all the time. So we do understand that it just could just become an overwhelming, but it's just a respect of the host and the being present in that meeting. So when you show yourself, it just shows that you're there. I mean, what are you hiding something? Maybe some people might wonder, why are you not showing your face? Are you out maybe shopping? Or are you really there? Maybe you have the camera off and you're just recording the meeting, but you're not present. So it just maybe so many different things that could be going on in a person's mind why you're not showing your face. So when you show your face, you just show you're present, you're engaged, and you're here to learn.
Thank you. One more question connected to that. So how much do you want to show your face? Is this just your face or some part of your chest, your body, or your home, or your whole room? I have seen people showing the entire room, and I have seen people just showing their face. What would be a good balance?
So from the waist up, just like where I'm positioned right now, because normally the camera, depends on how you have it set up, it just focuses mainly on your face, which is really the most important thing because I am the one speaking. So from the waist up, and again, if you use a virtual background or just have a nice virtual background designed for you, or a green screen, that will help eliminate a lot of distraction. So what I could also recommend, I'm not sure if everyone know of Fiverr, and they actually have professionals who do professional screen background. So mine is a simple one, and it depends on how much you want to pay, but depends on what your brand, your company, your organization, you could just have one created for you for virtually, because we really don't know how long this pandemic is going to be playing out and how long we will have more Zoom meeting. And so again, you got to think of, if you think of brands, Nike, Coke, you know their brand based on how long they've been around, their reputation. So I always tell everyone, you are your brand. So when you're selling yourself, you always want to be professional. When you're home and you're private, then you could be who you want to be. But once you get on camera, you have to treat it as if this is a real in-person meeting, because in a way you are judged whether you like it or not. And so to be taken seriously, it is nice to just come prepared.
And a couple of what we're getting in chat is that if everybody's on video, that could result in more technical difficulties because the bandwidth could be high. So I've seen that a few times. And then the culture of the organization may kind of decide if your senior leadership is at the C-suite level is not on video, then that's kind of going to drive the culture down, that nobody's going to be on video. So just a couple things to think about from the chat room.
Yes, and these are just general guidelines, and for everyone, things apply in a different way. So you just have to use your judgment and make a proper judgment on what works best for you and how you want to represent yourself in any situation. Did I answer your questions? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
No problem. And establish your agenda. You want to have an agenda prepared and distribute ahead of time. Like all meetings, it makes a big difference for both the person who is leading the meeting and the attendees to know why they are meeting in the first place. For like say the manager, prepare an agenda is an important way to collect your thoughts on what you want to talk about and narrow down the outcomes you want to achieve. When your agenda is done, you can digitally send it to your meeting attendees and set the tone for the meeting. For the attendees, seeing the agenda ahead of time, it helps you to understand the purpose of the meeting and it makes a huge difference for everyone in preparation, or to make everyone be prepared. Time isn't waste in the meeting, and everyone in the meeting knows what will be talked about. So your Zoom meeting needs an agenda. So everyone here is on the meeting today. I'm not sure if everyone received an agenda, but just again, depends on the meeting setting. If agenda could be sent out and I know what the meeting is about, then I show up and I know exactly what we're talking about. I am ready and I'm engaged and I'm ready to move forward.
And with associations, I think we're more in that presentation abstract and maybe learning objective mode, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to get the agenda out. But I did like how you prepped your agenda with the different, kind of Hollywood squares model versus just bullet points that we see 90% of the time. So I think that was
well,
a
thank
good
you.
creative idea of a different way to do it versus how we usually see it. So kudos on that.
Thank you. Well, yeah, so like if this is a corporation or organization and they normally would have monthly meeting, weekly meetings with their teammate, again, it's just a good way to just make sure keeping that going forward as if this was in-person meeting. Don't multitask. It is tempting. I know it is. We all have that moment also. But it's really obvious. At the start of each meeting, ask everyone to close all their windows on their screen so they can be fully present. And that, again, a person might be offended because I'm an adult, or why are you telling me to close my screen? But yes, because sometimes if you're on Zoom for a long time, you might want to click your button and scroll over to a website, a shopping, or, like what is the new attire, or let me check my email, or let me get on my phone and do that. So if you could close all your screen and stay focused and don't think about multitasking, it helps a lot. Because if I'm here and I'm like, I have to make this quick note or do something, I'm like moving back and forth, and you're going to be kind of following along with me. So try not to multitask. Monitor your mute button. You want to watch out for, sorry, one second, let me go back here. Oops, sorry about that. Sorry about that, I went back too far. Oops, what happened here? Sorry about that, everyone. I kind of have let me go back up here. Here we go. Are we there? Okay. You want to monitor your mute button. Watch out for mistakenly thinking the mute button on your computer is on when in fact it is not. You never want to hear someone saying, "We can still hear you." Also, make sure your mute button is on when you're saying something in the background you might not want everyone else to hear. It can be embarrassing if someone says something they do not want the other person to hear. I have experienced that personally, where we were on a Zoom event and someone came on and their mute button was not on, and they were making some comments, and it was like, wow, I can't believe that, and I sure know that person didn't intentionally meant to say what they were saying out openly, but if they were aware to check to make sure that was muted, then we would not hear. So I'm sorry, always want to make sure our mute button is on when we're saying something maybe we don't want others to hear, but also make sure it is off when we're ready to speak.
And we had a chat comment to remember to turn off the recording before the water cooler conversation starts. I think that catches a lot of people. And then I learned the hard way with a recording that to pause it as soon as you go into breakout rooms on Zoom, because it'll just record the main, if everybody goes to breakout rooms and you're the only one there, it's just you for like 10 or 15 minutes. And if your video's on, that can be a awkward playback. So
yes. Sit still. That is a tough one because again, sometimes we're on these Zoom calls for hours and hours, but it is important to not pace. Colleagues, stop listening because they're watching you. If you do need to change location, don't just grab your laptop and go. It's kind of like making everyone feel like they're on a roller coaster. So you want to turn off your video and just move to the next location. Because again, if I'm constantly moving around, you're going to be watching what I am doing and like want to know what's going on. So it's just best if you could practice just being still. And maybe sometimes why we don't show our face many times on camera, because we're multitasking in the background. And so we just want to be mindful of that. Sorry about that. General guidelines. So here's some general guidelines, and I think most everyone already know these, but if you don't, use a unique Zoom ID for each meeting and avoid using personal meeting IDs. Don't post meeting links on social media. Do not share links to meetings you are not invited to, or don't share links that you have not got approval from the host. It is recommended to assign password when scheduling a meeting and utilize the waiting rooms to let participants in as you are ready to receive them. We have had situation with hackers who somehow got links shared and hacked in and shared inappropriate things or just do crazy things. So like, for example, PMI did a wonderful thing where have participant register or share the link closer towards the date and not so much have it open, just here's the link information publicly on social media that anyone can just log on. You should be registered. Send out a meeting summary after the meeting. Sometimes this can be helpful for someone who maybe missed it, the meeting because of other reasons that are really necessary, not just because they weren't there, but it's just always recommended to send out a summary after the meeting and wrap it up 10 minutes before the end of the meeting. Let people know that you're arriving at the end of the meeting and use that time for any summation and for reiterating any to-dos that have not been assigned or for volunteered during the meeting. So this is a good time to say, hey, we're approaching 10 minutes towards the end of the meeting. And so that way we can wrap it up and we can assign roles or take some general questions or anything like that. And that was it for me. That is it for me for today. I really appreciate it, everyone. It's again, my first, so there's some mishaps here and there, but for the most part, I really appreciate everyone allowing me to share this.
I thought it was very well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
And again, we're adults, and so it's just mindful, again, just to remember we are our brand, and if we work for an organization or a company, we are representing that organization. So we always want to put our best foot forward in any situation.
Yeah, that was good, Karene, Ms. Putney.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
One question we got in chat was, what's your recommendation for hand gestures or speaking with your hands as a facilitator? I know I do it probably too much, but like you don't want to just, be static at the same time. So.
Yeah, well, for me, I don't know, it's just natural for me to sit and keep my hands together. I make it a practice. But if you're using a green screen or if you're in a situation where it could show a lot to doing a lot of that, it's distracting unless you're a composer doing music. But it's okay if you're, pointing out something, or if you're standing up and doing a presentation where it's okay. But the more you can limit the hand movement, the better it is, because it just takes away from the message. But it's totally fine. I think everything has to do with moderation.
And you mentioned standing up. We've had a few speakers that had an external webcam and stood up for their presentation because they wanted to be active and energetic. And is that I know for like normal 9-to-5 business, standing up may be a little bit weird, but when you are given more of a persuasive presentation, would you recommend standing up? Or?
Well, whatever works best for you. The point is to deliver the message. So if I'm standing up and I'm not too far away from the camera where it's like really, really hard, the further I go back for you to really see me, then you're gonna want to listen, but you still want to see me. So if you're standing up and you're close enough to where you can still be seen and heard, that is fine. The whole point is you just don't want to be like you're dancing around and moving around. Again, if this is a meeting and it's about productivity, being serious, making your organization earn the money, then you want to take it serious. So it's all about like being focused.
Great. Does anyone have any questions, or does anybody want to share some horror stories from virtual meetings that have either happened to you yourself or that you've seen from your colleagues?
I think I have one. I want to drive that point of don't do the multitasking. I have two screens, and I run one on one screen and the meeting's on one screen, and I do something on this other screen. And sometimes I go deep into the work and my name will be taken by someone, and some task is assigned to me and I wouldn't even know that. So it's multitasking can be dangerous while you are on an important meeting, at least.
Yeah, because the human brain, unfortunately, we're not designed to multitask and you get lost. So we're designed to focus on one thing at a time. So you just have to be present. And again, just think of this as like, this is my business, or, you know, if you are a serious person and you value yourself and what you're doing, I think you would respect the fact that, okay, you know, I have to treat this as if this is in person. And so it just really depends. But yes, multitasking is one of those things where it's very easy to get distracted and go down that rabbit hole online and doing other things.
Yes. And another thing I want to tell you, don't feel bad. Running the videos and audio from a presentation is always an issue, and you know, you will recover.
Well, that's good
You'll
for
do
me
very
to
well.
know, because
Yes.
now in the future, I know to make sure, because I could hear it on my end, but I had no idea participant wouldn't be able to hear that. So we're all learning, and this is what it's about, you know, always learn and correct.
It's great, and you will do great in the next one.
Thank
too.
you so much. Thank you.
Anyone else have any lessons learned?
Yeah,
or
this
experiences?
is Doug. I actually was in a meeting once, and again, somebody started multitasking, and apparently they were doing the dishes, and you couldn't hear that. You know that they couldn't hear that. You know that you were hearing them. So everybody on the call was kind of like, you know, virtually looking at each other, and the host graciously said, you know, please mute your mics, please mute your mics. So I think at some point the host just muted the person, you know, to save everybody from the whole experience. So I think as a host, you also have to be wary of the, you know, where the muting button is for each individual, or for mute all, because sometimes somebody does get carried away and it can be very distracting for the call.
Oh yeah.
And this is Jim Steckel. I just want to add one thing about requesting folks to turn on their video. There are some folks that they just don't want to be seen on camera, or maybe they don't want to see themselves. And the story I have is a year ago, we got a new supervisor in our branch, and his first virtual meeting, he wanted to see everyone. He had never met us. So he insisted that everyone turn on their camera. And this poor woman, she tried every which way to get out of it, and he insisted. So what she did was she turned her camera toward the ceiling before she turned it on. And then when she turned it on, she slowly brought it down to where it was just at her head. And that's all she showed the whole meeting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there's so many funny stories about Zoom. It's amazing. I had a meeting with someone, and the meeting was set for 9, and they just got up, put their robes on, and had their head bonnets, and they were like, here I am. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, I'm still thinking this is a meeting. I'm going to treat it as if this is real. So yeah, sometimes I think what it is, sometimes we're not conscious of, you know, some of the things that we're doing, and we just don't, we take it for granted. Like, okay, this is just online. It's not a big deal, but we just always have to be mindful.
Mm-hmm.
As far as your business, do you do more one-on-one coaching? Do you have a program to go into companies and do more workshops? How can people find you, and if they have some ideas for themselves or their company?
Yes, so you can visit my website at eettq.com. That is Edward, Tom, Q as for queen.com. And there you can email me at info@eettq.com, and I would love to speak with you and do virtual meetings. Yes, I am from Jamaica, so I do apologize if sometimes, you know, I didn't pronounce something properly, but I am working on my American accent becoming more Americanized, even though I've been here for 25 years, but yes.
Okay, last call for questions or stories. All right, well, we'll give back our members some time. PDU should be processed by the end of the week, and we wish everyone a great night and a motivating remainder of your week. And thank you so much, Mrs. Putney, for
Yes,
your
thank
time
you.
and your great program.
Thank you
Yeah,
all
thank
so
you,
much
Jen.
for this time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
It was a
thank you.
Thank
pleasure.
you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Night.
Bye-bye.